Alright, so we'll see a bit about partitioning today. Partitioning and software installation, creating a you know repository, basically a software repository for packages.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. And it says speaker is not working, so just want.
Okay.
It's
So
fine. Okay.
can you see the screen now?
Yeah, I can see the screen.
All right. So we have a couple of commands to discuss about partitions and the what are the partitions available and the total size, how much available, and what is the mount point of all those. All right, so this is one partition which is 38 GB total in size and 15 GB being used. Available is 23 GB and it is mounted on slash partition. Right, so rest of them are temporary file systems, so no need to consider those things for temporary file systems. The other one would be this one, SDA1 slash boot. And basically these partitions, if you see this CentOS home and CentOS root, these are LVM partitions, Linux volume manager, right? So which can be any partition. If you create partitions using LVM, Linux volume manager, then those partitions can be resized very easily, whether it is reducing the size of the partition or increasing the size of the partitioning. Resizing would be very easy for us, right? Um, but basically we need to understand how do you create a normal partition, which is like SDA1, right? So that's what we see. Actually, I did add one more disk to this. Normally, these hard disks get detected as SDA, SDB, SDC. That is how it is. So if you observe this naming convention here, SDA, this is a first disk in this operating system. If you have SDB, then that is a second disk. So basically these numbers are the partition numbers. That means in first disk, first partition, second disk, second partition, SDB means, right? So how do we get, see the df-h, this is about the partitions which got created and which are formatted and then which are mounted on a particular mount point. So basically, what is a mount point? Okay, can you explain on this? What is a mount point? Do you have any idea on this?
Mount point, right?
Yeah.
Mounted on. No.
See, in Windows, we do have C drive, D drive, right? So these are
Yes.
the drive letters, right? So for every partition we create, operating system is going to have some unique ID for that partition, which we are not aware of. As a user, we deal with drive letters, right? We understand only drive letters. So whenever a partition gets created and formatted, uh, then that partition will be linked with a drive letter like C drive, D drive, E drive, something like that, right? Similarly, in Linux also, whenever we create a partition and format it, we have to link it with a drive letter. But here the drive letter is nothing but mount point, we call it as. So these mount points are nothing but simple directories. We create in Linux a directory and that directory will be linked with one of the partitions. Then that directory is called as mount point. So mounting is nothing but a kind of creating a link between the directory and the partition. So we will see how to create a partition now, and how to format it, and how to create a mount point for that, right? So for that, one more command we have to use, that is fdisk -l. So if we use this fdisk -l from here, that this is the command we did execute. So there is a disk called sdb whose size is of around 20 GB odd, 21 GB, and there are no partitions in this disk in sdb, right? But in sda, which is the first disk, this is the second disk, sdb and sda, right? These are the naming convention would be there in Linux. So in the first disk of sdb, which is of 64 GB odd, and in that you can say there are two partitions. One is sda1, which is a boot partition where the booting related files, operating system boot related, a bootloader would be there, which are necessary for starting of the operating system. And the other partition is of lvm. I told you, right? We do have lvm partitions: CentOS root, CentOS swap, CentOS home. These are the partitions out of this lvm partition, right? So by default, when we install the operating system, we'll have an option whether to create a normal partitions or whether to go for LVM. If we do not select anything, automatically it is going to create LVM partitions by default, right? So that's the reason just now I've added one more disk for this operating system to this VM. That disk is the SDB disk, which is of around 21 GB. So we will create partitions out of this 21 GB, right? So our disk name, the second disk, so it is SDB. If we add one more disk, it would be detected as SDC, right? So with the same fdisk command, we will create, right? We will create a partition out of this SDB, right? So fdisk space /dv/sdb. Now here, some commands we can execute to list the partitions, to create the partitions, to save the partition table. And what are the commands? So if at all we need to get an help, we do have something called m. If you just type m and press enter, we'll get the commands which are listed here. See here, right? Delete a partition, create a new partition table, list known types, partition types, add a new partition for that n, right? Something like this. We have different commands available. So we need to uh, right, so we'll try to print the partition table. So in SDB there are no partitions available. So what we'll do is we will create a new partition. Now here, two types of partitions you can see here, that is primary, and second one is extended partition. So primary partition, generally we use it to store the operating system related files, right? So if it is a first disk, and in order to install operating system, the we create a primary partition. At the time of installation also, we whatever partitions we create, that we those are all primary partitions. But here right now we do not need primary partition, because that will be used for operating system, operating system um, booting files. um, so we'll go with extended partition, because already we do have the operating system installed. So this is the second disk we are using for storage purpose, so we will go with extended partition. So I'm just have typed here E for extended, and partition number, we'll go with, let us say, 1 2 4. Generally we allocate it to primary partitions. So 1 2 3 we'll allocate it to primary partitions. I'll just select as 4. So first, for extended I've selected it as 4, and the first sectors we can give the size of these partitions either in sectors or no, MBs or GBs in human readable format. So I don't understand sector, I'll not give it. Right now here it is asking give the size in kilobytes, megabytes and gigabytes. So basically whatever the space is available within that space, I want to consider that entire space as a extended partition, because primary I don't require, already operating system is installed. So I will consider the entire space as extended partition. So I haven't given any space here. So what it took, right, the entire space as extended because I did not provide any value over there. So it took the complete space available of 21 GB odd, right, as extended. So if you see, if you print the table, partition table, it is extended partition. So extended partition cannot be used for storage purpose, right? So within extended, again we have to create logical partitions, right? So again I'll go with N for creating a new partition and L for logical, and sectors I don't understand, so I don't give it. Okay, so um, here I can give something like 1G for example, right? So enter, let me print this, plus 1G. Now here you can see there is a fifth partition which got created, right, which is of around 1 GB, right? Now okay, so this is what the partitions we have got. So now I have to exit this fdisk utility. I have to exit this with W. If I use Q, then quit without saving changes. That means whatever changes we made to this SDB disk, those changes would be lost. I would lose those changes. So I'll use W. W means write and quit, right? So that means the changes have been saved, but change now this changes, whatever are saved, that is itself not enough for us, because in the partition table the changes have been saved, but the operating system or the kernel within the operating system, it need to update these changes, right? So in the, so what we have to do is part probe we have to use, right? So if you use part probe, then it will update the changes. This is something related to no, CD drive or a DVD drive. Nothing to no, consider about this as of now, right? So part probe I did. So fdisk hyphen L. See, if I use fdisk hyphen L, then related to SDB, within that I have got extended and logical partition. So mkfs dot ext4 or xfs is the latest file system we have got, slash dv slash sdb5. SDB4 is the extended we are not going to use it for storage. So logical partitions we are going to use it, which we have created out of extended. So logical partition is SDB5. All right. mkdir slash mkdir slash um, new part, right? New part. So mount slash dev slash sdb5 to slash new part. So this is how we are mounting it. Basically, we're creating a link, something like this. So I can, right? So we need to check whether it got mounted or not. So if I use mount, so it should show me sdb5 on new part where type of file system is XFS and we do have read write permissions and something else. So I can start storing the data in that slash new part. Here I can start storing the data. So something like, let's say, so, okay, I can simply create a file. I can create a file and start storing it. If I use umount, which is I'm removing that link umount slash new part. Oh, as target is busy, that means I'm already in new part, so I have to come out of it. Now if I umount it and if I type ls slash new part, if I do that, where is the data? We lost it because the disk, the partition, the link of the partition with slash new part have removed it. Right? I have removed it. So to whichever directory I create the link, which I've used just now, like this. Suppose I create the link to a new directory called slash mnt, right? If I use slash mnt, you can see the file would be there, right? So umount slash mnt, right? So I've removed this. So again, I'll go back to slash new part only. I'll mount it to new part itself, right? Now ls slash new part. I should be able to see the file now. So this mounting using this command itself is not sufficient because this mount is available. This link of partition and the directory is available only for this session. If I restart the machine, right, this link it will not create. That means it will not persist across the reboots. So if you want this link to persist across the reboots, we have to put this information in a file called fstab, which is there in etc. And so in this, you have to put something like this slash dev slash sdb5 and slash new part, and file system is xfs with default permissions at 0 space 0. That's it. So this is what it is. So slash dv slash sdb5, that is a partition name, and slash new part, which is a mount point, xfs, and default permissions, right? So these are related to backup, and other one is related to um, file system check, whether to perform at the time of booting of the operating system or not. It's a different discussion altogether. So right now I'm just skipping this. It's not required for us as of now. All right. So this is what the you know entry you have to make in this etc fs tab file, right? And save and quit. Even if you reboot, that partition would be mounted onto slash new part. Okay, so this is how you're going to create a partition and mount it. All right, and all right. So next we'll go with any questions on this, Sai?
No, it's okay.
All right. So next we'll see about package installation or a software installation. After installing your operating system, if you want to install uh, operating any softwares, how do you do that in Linux? That's what we'll see now. We have got something called RPM, in Linux, especially about Red Hat Linux, CentOS Linux, or Fedora Linux. And so even CentOS is also by Red Hat company only. Red Hat is a commercial version where they do have licensing concept over there for enterprises, but for CentOS, there is no licensing. It's free of cost. So all these Red Hat based operating systems, they do have something called you know RPMs, Red Hat Package Manager, right? So every package would be of with the extension called RPMs, and the name of the command also RPM itself. So first of all, if at all you want to install any software here, it would be mostly it would be in the form of RPMs only. All right, so we do have uh, CentOS ISO mounted here. So we will try to get into that to copy these files. Slash. Okay, this is the location where it got copied, where it got linked actually. All right, so in this ISO, we do have something called packages. What I'll do is I'll copy all these packages, or else before that, let me get into packages. All right, so these are the different RPMs we do have, right, which are required, which we can install if required. All right, so I'll try to install a simple package called -ivh, where I is for install, right, and V for verbose, that is show this progress of installation and other information on the terminal, and H in hash format. The progress would show it in hash format. Progress of installation, it will show in hash format, right? And so this package I wanted to install, and this entire information is in verbose, because of verbose verbose is nothing but just show that on the standard output device, that is terminal itself, and the progress in hash format, right? And it says already installed. We'll remove this V and H and see what is the difference, right? So this progress, it is not showing now. All right. Okay, this is already installed, and we'll try to install one more package which actually required for us, create repo package. Okay, this is also installed, no problem. And okay, okay, this HTTPD package, so this is the package is required for creating a web service for us, creating a website. All right, why we create a website now, I'll tell you in just in a few minutes. But we need to install this package. It says failed dependencies, right? Failed dependencies. The problem with RPM is this. See, first of all, we are trying to okay. So when we try to install a package, right, in Linux, right, for every package we will have dependency package, right? This is what we need to understand about Linux. So within Linux, any software I want to install, that files related to the software are nothing but .rpm files, right? In the name can be anything, but the extension would be .rpm. So these RPMs, we call them as packages. In Linux, the terminology we use for this software related files called packages. So for every package, in general, in most of the cases, most of the packages, they will have some dependencies. Dependency means if I need to install package 1, right, then I have to install package 2 first, and then package 1, as package 2 or package 1 is dependent on package 2. So dependencies is nothing but these are prerequisites. See, if at all I need to install one software, before that we do have some dependency softwares or prerequisite softwares to be installed. That is nothing but dependence, right? So similarly here it is showing, giving us the information that this is what the package I want to install. But if I try to install that, it says that this package is needed by the actual package what I'm trying to install. That means for HTTPD, this is the dependency. This is the dependency package. So first I have to install this, then have to now other dependency packages are also there. So then before installing this, I need to make sure all these are available for me, right? So this is what the problem is with RPM, because see, I'll show you what would be the problem for RPM. I'm trying to install this dependency packages. See, if you observe this, I'm trying to install dependency package and it says, okay, these are the packages which are need to be installed before installing it. That means there is a kind of linking between these dependency packages as well. So package 1 is dependent on package 2 is dependent on package 3 is dependent on package 4, something like this, right? So what we have to do is, for this there is an option called yum repository, creating yum repository. If we are using RPM, right, to install packages, then we will have dependency issues. Just now we have seen that one package is dependent on other one is dependent on other. So we have to install number of packages before installing this HTTP package which we require, right? So this RPM will not be able to, this RPM utility will not be able to resolve dependency issues, right? So hence we have to rely on alternative tool, that is yum. There's another tool we do have, right, which automatically resolves the dependencies. That is, automatically it will install dependency packages and then install the main package what we need. So if at all I need to install P1, P2, P3, the number of dependencies it has got, right? So all those dependency packages it will install first, and then it will install the main package whatever we require. But for yum we need to have a repository, right? For yum we need to create a repository first. Repository, right? Then only we'll be able to install packages. So in order to create a repository, we need the package that is create repo. This is the package name, that is create repo, which need to be installed. So already we did check that. See, RPM, this create repo we have to install with RPM itself. Create repo. See, this is the package we have to install, which is already installed. So now before creating the repository, I need the packages to be copied. Right now we are in ISO, right? We are reading this ISO right now. So what we will do is we will copy this packages directory to local, let us say /mnt or some other directory. You can do that if you want. or else we do have something called new part, right? So I will copy into that new partition altogether. So this will take bit time actually to get copied all the packages. So with this create repo command, the package, it is creating a repository. Alright, so here if you see, it created the database, the repositories basically. So we should be able to see repo data directory /mnt/ packages. Somewhere here we should be able to see the repo data directory. See here, there is a directory called report data. In that, cd/mnt/packages/repo data. In that you can see these are the files which I was talking about. All right, so we are not going to do any modifications over here. So basically our repository location is /mnt/packages. Within that we do have a repository which is repo data directory. All right, so this is what we are going to do it in the repo server, basically, where we want, in whichever server we want, all the repositories should be there. So we have to place those packages in a directory, and we have to, we have to create the repository like this. But from whichever machine we want to use that repository, in that machine we have to edit a file called /etc /m dot repos dot d. This is the location you have to go with. Right. In this already you see that some files are there .repo files. I'll just copy, do some modifications over here. Whichever file you want to use, file name, you can use it, but the extension should be of .repo. All right. So I will completely move all these CentOS related files to, let's say, /root. Only one file, I'll keep it here. vi demo.repo. I'll just remove the unnecessary things. Demo hyphen repo. Mirror list we don't need. Base URL gbg check. Right now I don't need, so I'll remove it. Make it 0. I don't need this key as well. All right. In package directory, we do have that uh, repo data directory. So this is what the path we have to give. File. That is, we are referring to the local path. In node 1 itself, we do have this repository created. So I'm referring to the local path. That is the reason I gave something called file colon 3 slashes mnt, name of the directory within that packages. All right. So I'll just exit. So m list, sorry, http could not open file. Why so? Mnt is there. Oh, probably there is a spelling mistake, I guess so. There is a spelling mistake here. Actually, the directory name should be of capital P. I just put it as small p. And Linux is case sensitive. Windows is not case sensitive, but Linux is case sensitive. I'm just, okay. All right. So I'll try to list that package. See, it is reading demo-repo. These are all the available packages which start with HTTP here, right? So I would install HTTPD I will list it. So these are the packages which are related to that, and listing is done. Now I will install. Commands are easy. M repository commands are easy.
In the PDF which you send me, there are all list of commands, right?
It is not the only. It is complete a book actually. It is a Red Hat training. I used to handle Red Hat training, Red Hat courses. So that is a complete book actually for you.
Okay.
So here, if you observe, see, not only installing the packages we require, but also it is installing the dependencies. So it is installing all the dependencies. So no need, see, dependencies resolved. So with RPM, if you observe, it was showing, it was throwing us an error that dependency, issues, right? So there are no dependencies, failed dependency errors. But here, automatically it is going to resolve the dependency and install it. See, it is installing the dependency package first, dependencies, and APR, APR-devel. Then it is going to install the main package after installing the dependence. So these are the two packages which are four packages which got installed, and for them the dependency packages. These are the dependency packages. Any questions here?
Nope. Okay.
All right. So now the main thing is we have this repository created in this location. All right. So in the local machine, within this machine, we can access the repository the way we did it now. Right? By using this, the local location, we can use it. But think node 1 is a repository server, and we have to access this repository from some other machines. Right? How do we do that? So that is not possible if you simply create a repository in one of the random directory within the Linux operating system, and that cannot be accessed in other machines. If you want to access that in other machines, we have to, first either use FTP service, file transfer protocol service, or use file sharing service as NFS, or use HTTP service. All right. So for HTTP service, which is a web service, right? So for creating a website, itself, I have installed this HTTP now, right? Now, in order to create a website, I've installed that package HTTPD. So where you could see this www directory got created, and within that we do have something called HTML. Probably I haven't started the service, right? System CTL start HTTPD. See, testing. So that HTTP server, it started now, right? So I've started the HTTP service. So what I need to do is now I have to move this slash mnt slash packages directory to /var /ww/html. I'm moving to this completely. So cd html. I'm in this directory right now. If I type ls, I've got this packages. So what we'll do is we'll remove the repo data. If you remember, when we created repository, this repo data directory got created. So I'm removing which is there in packages, right? Right. I'll create again that repository, create repo -v /var/ww/html. You can create the repository referring to this HTML directory. Else you can type something like this as well, right? So it's leftovers. It doesn't make much difference, right? If I just refer to HTML directory, it is going to create that report data directory within this HTML itself. Total 5010 packages are there. So meanwhile, we can create, we have to make the changes in this file now. See here, this time I will change it to, we are using now HTTP protocol. node1.example.com, HTTP node1.example.com, and it's still going on. All right, so here that repo data got created. So in this file demo.repo, so whenever I say node1.example.com, it would http node1.example.com, it would refer to this HTML directory itself. Okay, so let me see. I just here. Simply test whether it is going for that HTTP directory or not. What is this? Say still it is able to read this demo-repo. It is able to read this. Then once whatever we provided here, and it is able to connect to this web service, HTTP service, and it is able to read that repository. List all or else VSFTPD, for example, this FTP package service. Yes, available packages. It is available in this repository. So what we did is install HTTPD package and copy RPMs to /var/www/html, and then create repository with create repo command. Right, so this is what we did. And so basically, instead of sharing this directory with NFS, which is a file sharing service, or FTP, we use HTTPD basically because that's faster than FTP and accepted by different softwares. Even for Cloudera Manager, Hadoop also, HTTP is what preferred, not FTP or anything else. It's in major softwares, HTTP is accepted a lot. So we configured HTTP service, which is basically a web service using which we shared this repository. Any questions here, Sai?
No, all good.
Good. All right then. So Fine. So we'll end it here today, and again we'll resume on Sunday evening Indian time, right? So I hope that should be fine with you. Sunday evening.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
All right then. So I will
Uh,
share. Yes, please.
will you be texting me the time through WhatsApp?
Sure, I will
For
do that. Give me your preferred timings, if any.
you can text me anytime.
Fine, then I'll do that. All right. So I'll upload this, and I'll upload these recordings through YouTube. You can go through them.
Yeah, if you can do it, I can practice this weekend. And
Sure, I'll do that today itself. I'll do it and share with you the links.
great.
Fine. All right then. Bye.
All right, thank you. Have a safe trip.
Right. Thank you.